السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. رب زدني علما، اللهم فقهنا في الدين، آمين يا رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today for our Ramadan series, we are going to start with the topic of Witr. And we'll start first by looking at what is Witr. So witr literally in Arabic means odd. So it is an odd number. It is called witr or odd because it has an odd number of rak'ahs. So normally our witr prayer can be either one rak'ah or three rak'ahs, five rak'ahs, seven rak'ahs. So it can be any number of odd rak'at. And this is why it is known as witr, because it is going to have that odd number of standings or odd numbers of rak'ahs. It is a nafil prayer that the Prophet ﷺ never missed. So it is not something that is fard. It is not obligatory, meaning you are not sinned if you miss your witr prayer. But when we look at the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he never missed this prayer. Even when he was traveling, we learned that he would not pray his sunnah prayers while he traveled. He would also shorten his prayers. He would combine his prayers. But the witr prayer was something that he never missed. So we learn if the Prophet ﷺ never missed it, it must be something that is very important. So even though it is not fard, it is not obligatory, you are not sinned if you do not do it, there is an immense amount of ajr for the person who does do his witr prayer, because we learn the Prophet ﷺ never missed it. So it must be something that is very important. Witr is done after the Isha prayer and done before the Fajr prayer. So it has to be done after Isha. You can do it either after you have immediately prayed Isha, you can pray your Witr then. Or if you are getting up for Tahajjud, you can also pray it after the Tahajjud prayer and before the prayer of Fajr. So depending on if you are getting up or not for Tahajjud, you can do it at the time of night, or you can do it at Isha, or you can do it closer to the morning time. A lot of times during Ramadan, if you are praying Taraweeh, you will pray Witr after the Imam, or if you are praying Taraweeh and then going and praying Tahajjud later on, after you go to sleep and you wake up before Fajr, you are praying, then you can also pray your Witr then. So it can be done anytime between Isha and Fajr, but it has to be done before the Fajr time or before the Adhan for Fajr goes off. So during Witr, Qanut or Dua is also usually done while standing in Qiyam. So this is something that is done during the Witr. You have the Qanut or the Dua, meaning that you will raise your hands or you will make Dua during this time. According to different schools of thought, the Witr is done differently. Inshallah, we won't cover specifically how to pray the Witr, but you can do it either like before ruku or after ruku, just depending on which madhab you follow. But you will do this qunut or the dua during the witr time. Now, something to keep in mind, qunut is not specific only to the witr. You may find the Prophet ﷺ prayed qunut in other prayers as well, and you will find that other shuyukh have done this. So, for example, just during a fard prayer, you may see that the sheikh is doing a qunut. So, one time I had joined a Maghrib prayer, and the imam leading had done a qunut during the Maghrib prayer. So, this is allowed. The Prophet ﷺ had done this as well. He made these du'as during the time of prayer. So, we learn that qunut is not specific only to the witr. You may find this in other prayers as well. But witr is the time that it is done the most often. So normally when we think of qunut, we do think of witr. But don't be surprised if you do ever hear that an imam is doing qunut during his prayer, because the Prophet ﷺ had done this as well. But specifically during witr, we do this qunut or this dua while standing in qiyam. So this is also something that makes that witr a little bit unique, is that we always do qunut in this prayer. The Prophet ﷺ said that verily Allah Almighty one has added oh, has added one uh, to your prayers. So basically, you have the five daily prayers, and Allah has added one to these prayers, meaning the witr prayer. So perform it between the evening and dawn prayers, between the Isha and the Fajr prayers, the witr prayer, the witr prayer. So we learn from this that it is not fard, it is not obligatory, it is not that it is one of the daily prayers, that now there are six daily prayers. This is not what this hadith means, but basically means that it has so much importance that the way that you are always praying all five prayers, you should always pray witr as well. And like we learned, the Prophet ﷺ never left his witr prayer even when he was traveling. So we see the importance of this, and he repeated this twice, the witr prayer, the witr prayer. So pray this the way that you pray all five prayers, all daily prayers, pray the witr in this similar manner. And we learned that Abu Darda reported, my beloved friend, the Prophet ﷺ, instructed me with three deeds that I will never leave for as long as I live. So three things that he said, never leave these three deeds. Fasting for 3 days of a month. So these are Ayyam al-Abyad, so the white days, the middle of the month. Fasting these 3 days of the month or the middle of this month. Performing the forenoon prayer, which is the duha prayer. Inshallah, we will learn about this as well. This is done after Fajr and before the Dhuhr prayer. So between this time, this is known as the Duha prayer. This also has a lot of benefits. And we learn the Prophet ﷺ would always pray this prayer as well. And then also not sleeping until performing the Witr prayer. So this is something that the Prophet ﷺ advised him to do for as long as he lived, basically not leaving the Witr prayer if there is no reason to leave it. So basically praying the Witr prayer was included amongst these three things. So we see the importance of this prayer. And then it was mentioned, whoever fears that he cannot stand for prayer at the end of the night, let him perform witr in its beginning. So, like I mentioned, if you are praying Taraweeh and you know that you are not going to be praying Tahajjud later on, you know that you are not going to be waking up before Fajr, then you should perform your witr at night. So, if you know that you are not going to be getting up, or you have this fear that maybe I might not wake up tomorrow for the Fajr prayer, then you should do the witr at night. So, after your Isha prayer, after you have finished your sunnahs, then you should pray the witr then. Or if you hope, whoever hopes to stand for prayer at the end of the night, meaning at the time of Fajr, let him perform witr prayer at its ending. So if you know that you are going to be getting up for suhood, for example, and you're going to be praying tahajjud during this time, then you can pray your witr at the end of your tahajjud before the Fajr adhan. So basically, depending on if you are going to be getting up or not, you can change the time of witr. Basically, you have from Isha until Fajr adhan to pray witr. So if you find that you are not going to be praying tahajjud, then pray at night with your Isha prayer. And then if you find that you are going to be getting up for Fajr and then you are going to be praying tahajjud at that time, then you can do your witr then as night. And then it was mentioned that verily prayer at the end of the night is witnessed, and that is better. So we did learn in the previous lecture about the importance of tahajjud and the benefit of tahajjud. So this hadith is subtly advising us that it is better if you do get up and pray before the Fajr prayer. If you pray tahajjud, that is a better time. But if you are not able to do so, then you can also pray your witr with your Isha prayer. That is also fine. But getting up for tahajjud, like we learned, does have so many benefits. So if you are able to do so, then you should do so. And then we learn from the hadith, make the last of your prayers at night the witr prayer, meaning that after you have finished everything, then you should do the witr prayer. And then basically you do the witr prayer, and then immediately after you pray the fajr. So if you feel that you are going to continue doing more rak'at, you pray tarawih and you feel you want to do more, you want to get up for qiyam al-layl, you want to pray more tahajjud, then continue praying until you know you are done. Or for example, you know the adhan is going to happen in 5 minutes for fajr, so you know you do not have time to pray more, and then you can do the witr prayer at that time. So the last of your prayers at night should be the witr prayer. Similarly, if you are going to sleep and not getting up for tahajjud, then you pray the Isha and you know that is your last prayer. You are not going to pray again until Fajr, then you do the witr at that time. So basically, whatever of your prayers you are doing, the last of it should be the witr prayer. And then we learn from the hadith, O people of the Quran, pray witr, for Allah is one and He loves that which is odd numbered. So Allah is witr, Allah is odd, He is one. So He also loves things that are odd, He also loves things that are witr. And He loves the witr prayer as well. And this is why it is advised that if you are one of these people of the Quran, then you should pray witr because Allah loves the witr prayer. Here I have put the du'a-i kunut. So there are a couple of du'as that you can make for kunut that we learned from the hadith. You can also make any du'a during this time. You may have heard, especially during Ramadan, some of these du'as are very, very long. The Imam will recite du'as for like 10, 15, 20 minutes even. So during this time, make these du'as because we know that the du'a during the prayer is the accepted prayer or the accepted du'a. So you should make your dua as long as you want. Ask Allah for whatever it is that you want. But these are the du'as that we learn from the hadith. They are the sunnah du'as. So you should memorize these. If not this one, there are a couple of other variations. You can memorize those as well, just for the sake of following the sunnah, and then add on whatever dua you would like. So this one written here, Allahumma hdini fi man hadayt, وعافني في من عافيت, وتولني في من توليت, وبارك لي فيما أعطيت, وقني شر ما قضيت, إنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك, وإنه لا يضل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. O Allah, guide me amongst those who you have guided. Pardon me amongst those you have pardoned. Befriend me amongst those you have befriended. Bless me in what you have granted and save me from the evil that you decreed. Indeed, you decree and none can pass decree and none can pass decree upon you. Indeed, he is not humiliated whom you have befriended, and he is not honored whom you have taken as your enemy. Blessed are you, our Lord, and exalted. So this is just one of the du'as. Again, if you can memorize this du'a, you should recite this during qunut. If not this one, then one of the other ones that are found in the hadiths, or any du'a that you would like to memorize and say during this time. We should get in the habit of making our qunut longer, and making these du'as during this time, because we know that Allah is a state of closeness to the person while he is in the state of prayer. So making as many du'as as you can will also benefit you during this time. So here we have some of the benefits of witr. Again, like we learned, the Prophet ﷺ never missed his witr, so we know that there is a lot of virtue to this prayer. We know that there is so much blessings to this prayer that the Prophet ﷺ never missed it. Number one, these are also very similar to the benefits of tahajjud as well. So number one, we have safety in the night. So when you are getting up for tahajjud and then praying witr at that time, or even if you are praying witr at the time of Isha, then you are getting yourself safety in the night, because you are making dua to Allah, asking Allah for goodness, asking Allah for protection, and then Allah will put you in His protection throughout the night. So you have safety throughout the night. And then it is also a good habit that is consistent. So we learned that if the Prophet ﷺ prayed it every single day, no matter what, then we should also pray it every single day. And we learned from the hadith that a deed that is consistent is one of the deeds that is most beloved to Allah, no matter how small it is. So consistently praying witr is something that is so beloved to Allah, has so much barakah in it, because it is a good deed that you are doing consistently. And this is something that we can easily do a lot of the times. If you are feeling lazy or tired, you can also do one rak'ah of witr. We learned the Prophet ﷺ used to also pray one rak'ah. It is not necessary to do three rak'ahs. So if you feel that you're too tired after praying tarawih, after praying Isha, or after praying the Tahajjud, you're too tired to do a full three rak'ahs, then you can also just do one rak'ah. And this is very, very easy. To stand for one rak'ah is basically nothing. So it is a consistent good habit that you can easily do after your Isha prayers. Number three, peace and spiritual contentment. Because you are doing this act of goodness consistently, it is also going to bring you that peace, knowing that you are making dua to Allah, you are coming to Allah, like we learned in the tahajjud prayer, khawfan wa tama'a, with fear and with hope. So you also have this kind of contentment, and then you can feel this peace in your heart as well. It is also a source of forgiveness, because we are asking Allah for forgiveness, because we are standing for a nafil prayer that is not voluntary. Allah will forgive us for our sins for doing this extra step. And then qunut dua is also very powerful. Again, like these duas that are done during our prayers, they are very, very powerful. So whatever it is that you want to ask Allah during this time of witr is such a beautiful time to do so. It brings discipline and regularity in worship. You are teaching yourself that every single day I have to do this. And if you can teach yourself to do something that is nafil, that is extra, that is not fard, then of course you can do the things that are fard. So it is teaching you discipline, how to be regular in your worship. It helps you build a strong routine. And you know that every day I have to do this. I cannot leave this. I cannot leave my witr, because the Prophet ﷺ never left his witr. And this is going to help you build that strong routine. It prepares you for tahajjud. So you know that I'm not praying right now. So I did my Isha, I did all of my extra prayers, and I am going to get up for tahajjud. So I'm going to leave my witr until then. So this is kind of preparing you for tahajjud and preparing you for getting up at the time of tahajjud. And then of course you have this extra reward, because it is not a fard prayer, it is something that is extra. Then you are getting so much extra reward as well for this prayer as well. So we can basically infer from all of the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ about him never leaving his prayer, advising people never to leave it until the day that they died, advising them that no matter what it is you are going through, always pray your witr. We can infer that there are so many more benefits to this. It is something that is so beloved to Allah. It is something that Allah loves. He loves the witr because He Himself is witr. He is one. So we know that this is something that is so beloved to Allah. And if the Prophet ﷺ has never left this, then we, of course, should be never leaving this as well. So may Allah give us the tawfiq to be consistent in our prayers, especially our nawafil prayers, the tahajjud and the witr prayer. And may He give us istiqamah in these matters, give us consistency in these matters, and accept all of our prayers from us. Inshallah, we will stop here for today. Jazakallahu khairan kathiran. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.